Hi, and welcome to Main Street AI, the podcast where traditional businesses are quietly revolutionizing their operations with artificial intelligence and winning. In this podcast, I sit down with industry leaders from law firms and professional services, fitness and membership services entrepreneurs, and other Main Street businesses to explore their AI journey. We dive into the opportunities they see, the challenges they're navigating, and the real impact of AI on their industries. Whether you're AI curious or ready to implement, this show brings you insights from leaders who are actually using this technology to serve customers better, empower employees, and drive profitable growth. Today's guest is an attorney who's proving that you don't need an army of lawyers to compete with the biggest firms anymore. Someone whose team is pioneering AI adoption in Colombia while still being rigorous about confidentiality and ethics, showing that innovation and professional responsibility aren't mutually exclusive. Hi, this is Stephen Whittier, Satori Coach IO, and I'm joined here with Juan Diego Martínez of Serrano Martínez CMA law firm. Juan, thank you for joining us. Look forward to the conversation. Could you start off, just tell me a little bit about yourself and your role in the firm?
Sure, Stephen, thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be with you today. My name is Juan Diego Martínez. I'm the partner in charge of the M&A and corporate practice of the firm, which is Serrano Martínez CMA. We're a business law firm. Actually, we're a full-service firm, but very specialized in business law. So pleasure to be here with you.
Great. And could you tell us a little bit more about what the firm does, just from a high level?
Sure. So my practice is focused on M&A, acquisitions, and of course in executing and negotiating contracts, commercial contracts mostly. But besides of that, we advise on every field of business. So we have a tax practice, labor law, immigration law, real estate, energy, oil and gas, environmental. So all the practices related to business law.
Fantastic. And in terms of the big topic here of AI, what are you seeing as any dominant or emerging trends in your industry right now?
Yeah. So what we're seeing is that the AI is going to change the way we render services, for sure. So what I'm seeing is that, for example, for due diligence, for first drafts of contracts, in order to see market trends, the AI is going to be, or is already, a very powerful tool. Is going to change the way we render these services in a very relevant manner.
So you're already seeing that it's transformative.
Yeah, completely.
So great.
Completely.
What would you say within that discussion? What would you say would be any fears or uncertainties around AI? Now that could be anything that you're feeling, but it could also be just broader ethos within the industry.
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm actually very optimistic because what I think is that the lawyers will have a very creative task and a very strategic task, more than doing repetitive work. We're going to focus on strategies, on thinking in a creative way about structures, about negotiations, more than doing routinary work. So I'm very optimistic on that. And on the other hand, I feel that, of course, you can have the tool, but if you don't know how to use it properly, it will end just helping you drafting emails. You know what I mean? So,
right.
So what we're trying to do in the firm is to really make use of this tool. So to automate those routinary works that do not need a lawyer, a human person, to do that, to be very efficient for the clients, and to put focus on what really matters, which is, again, decision making, creative work, to be strategic. So that's what we're seeing. But of course, to be able to do that, you need to spend time. So for example, if you want the tools to help you draft contracts, and I'm speaking about complex contracts, of course you have to have a good sample to in some way to teach the tool how to take decisions, how to read the provisions of the agreements. So that takes time. And we're on that. So the conclusion there is that it will help a lot, but still you need to design how the tool is going to work for your firm.
Absolutely. Yeah. A lot of people mistakenly, even in business, think that you can just go to one of these models and just type in a prompt and that's it. It's simply not the way it works. So
it's not the way it works.
Right.
But yeah, if you put some effort on that, I think this is going to be very, very relevant for us.
In terms of how these trends are affecting your practice, have you been doing some of this already? Have you been incorporating it? How has that been working?
Yes, we have a tool that is very powerful with, for example, with opinions. So you can have, this is just one example, but all the opinions from certain superintendents, some regulator, and you can put all the, or what we have done is to put all the rulings from this regulator. Then we include some opinions that we have drafted in the past, and we can include like specifics of a case. Of course, we don't include the names of the parties or any confidential information. We're very rigorous with that, but the tool can read the rulings of the regulator. They understand our tone of drafting the opinions, the structure of our opinions, and they can give you a first draft. Of course, there's always a human reviewing that and changing what we have, but yeah, we're working with that. We also have this tool also helps us, for example, to see if in a certain commercial contract there are some clauses that are outstandard, right? So you know where to put emphasis. So yeah, we're very active with these tools. I think we're in some way pioneers in Colombia, and we hope the clients will see the effect of that in the day-to-day rendering of our services.
Excellent. Now I wanted to pivot a little bit and go from sort of broader industry trends and just talk about your practice. You just mentioned you're a pioneer in Colombia. So where would you say in terms of, say, the general industry, where is your practice at right now in terms of growth, and where are you looking to grow it to?
Yeah, so we're relatively a new law firm in the market. So we have been in the market for 11 years already. Of course, before starting the firm, we worked in other firms for many years, but we're relatively new in the market, and we have grown a lot. And I think that we will keep growing in the market. Our purpose or goal is to be one of the biggest law firms in Colombia in the next years. So our aim is to be top 5 in a couple of years. And going back to AI, I think we're in a moment that is different to other moments of this practice, because before, a couple of years before, if you didn't have a lot of lawyers, an army of lawyers, you couldn't actually compete in, for example, in M&A, because you needed lawyers in order to do, for example, a due diligence, right? But today that changed. So what we feel is that without having so many lawyers, you'll be able to compete with the really big law firms, and to be much more efficient, to be focused. So it's a different moment. And in our law firm, we're trying to adopt these tools as much as possible, because we think we're in this special moment where everything is going to change.
Yes. There's such a value to being an early adopter.
Yeah.
Just having the conversation with one of the other attorneys I was interviewing, and talking about this exact thing with the technology adoption curve, and how when the internet came, a lot of people held back to see if it was a passing fad. Then they were playing catch up by the time everybody else realized this is now indispensable. You have to have a website and have to have optimization in terms of your online presence and everything. And now we have a chance to be on that cutting edge again for something that's going to be even bigger. So what would you say in terms of your practice? You gave me a good general sense of what you do in terms of business law, M&A. What would you say more specifically, maybe, that makes your practice unique, that you do extraordinarily well? Or another way to think about it is, what do you hear from clients? What do they say about your firm over and over again that's very positive?
So, Stephen, I would say that we like to understand the business very deeply. So what I would say is what clients really like from our firm is that if we're doing an M&A, for example, in the data center sphere, we really understand the business. We try to understand the business, because otherwise our advice is not as good as if you understand what you're actually buying or selling. So we really try to understand the business where we're at. We also want to understand not just the industry, but the specific transaction. What is relevant for the client, what is not. And of course, the other matter is that we try to be pro-business. Of course, we try to be very diligent from a legal perspective, but we also like to be pro-business. So to understand where we have to push and where maybe not so much. And then the other thing that the clients say they like from our firm is that we give concrete opinions. So if they ask us for something or for an opinion, we actually give them a concrete opinion.
Yeah.
We don't say what the law says and what the, because sometimes you see opinions where it only says if you do A, then B, but if you do C, then D. No, we of course explain everything, the risks, the effects, but at the end we give a recommendation, a concrete recommendation, and I think that's something that is very valuable for the clients.
Right. No, absolutely. If you just gave the letter of the law by itself, just going to increase their anxiety as opposed to giving them some actual solutions.
Completely.
It's fantastic. And then so you mentioned, which I think is absolutely great, the objective to get to the top 5 firms in Colombia. Where would you say, more short term, say in the next 6 to 12 months, where would you like to be with the firm in terms of growth?
Well, last year we were the biggest medium-sized law firm in Colombia, and now we're one of the biggest law firms in Colombia. So what we're trying to do this year is to grow 20% or 25% in terms of income. But besides of that, what we want is to have new practices, which will help the clients in all the transitions that will come in the near future. So we want to be very specialized on each practice, so that the clients have really truly specialists in each area where we practice. So we want to consolidate that in some areas, for example, project finance, infrastructure, etc. That's our nearest goal. And yeah, to keep growing in terms of revenues, in terms of market share, etc.
And are there any challenges or anything that you don't have in place right now that would make that a struggle to get to that 25% growth?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, it is funny because every year has been our best year so far, right? We have been, every year is our best year, and we say at the end of each year, we say, well, let's see next year. We don't know, there are political situations, it's another year, but for some reason, every year has been our best year. So of course there are always challenges, but so far we're growing at the pace we want.
Good.
And again, the market likes what we're proposing. So and on the other hand, this year's economy, as we see it, is good. I mean, Colombia is growing at 2.5% this year, or that's the forecast, which is not amazing, but it's good if you compare Colombia to the neighborhood. So it's a good year, actually. It has been a great year for us. And we hope next year is going to be the same. Of course, next year in Colombia is going to be a year where we're going to elect a new president. So of course, those electoral years are years where sometimes the businessmen try to understand what's going to happen. But we're optimistic about next year as well.
Great. And do you have, I guess we kind of started with AI, I'll end with it. Do you have anything that you see as a challenge in terms of adopting AI into the business to help you meet those objectives, or has it gone pretty smoothly so far?
Smoothly, but of course, there's a challenge to make all the lawyers understand that they have to embrace the technology and to actually use it. So sometimes you have an amazing tool, but you just use the 10% of it, or some lawyers they just don't use it. So what we're trying to achieve is that all the lawyers of the firm have to use the tools, because otherwise they're going to lose time, or so that's a challenge. But every time that a lawyer understands that an AI tool can make their lives so much easier, then they adopt it immediately. So we just need to show them that. That's one thing. The other thing is, of course, that we need to be very diligent on not providing to any of the systems we use confidential information. So what we do is we blackline everything that we're going to put in the system. Of course, the systems we use are very strong on confidentiality, but in any case, we blackline all confidential information. So we're very diligent on that. But of course, that's something that the that I think all firms have to be very have to see that with a lot of detail. But other than that, I think it is going very well. It is going very well. We're seeing that in terms of time, we're much more efficient than before. But not just time. Also, what I've seen is that this cuts the human error. So if you put time to what you provide to the tool, then a junior associate that starts, for example, at due diligence, they have a very strong checklist. The systems can tell them where to go. If they overlook something, the system can help you with that. So for quality control, it's also great. So yeah, we're very happy with what's happening right now.
Excellent. And then the last question I always like to end with is kind of shifting from a business objectives more to personal motivations, because everybody has something that's underlying, the growth projections or what you want to do with the firm. And what would you say is the real driving, motivating force for you? So like what you're thinking about that gets you out of bed in the morning.
Yeah, I have a great team. It's an amazing team, and it's actually great what your question, because I really like going to the office and speaking with the team and doing strategies. So in some way, my biggest motivation is to have a great team that is very harmonic, that is trying to innovate. And I see that every day. We started just my partner and myself and a lawyer. Now we're 70. This is a 70+ law firm. Oh. But we achieved to have this law firm with 70 lawyers, but it feels like it's small. We know all the members of the teams. The team is very motivated to work in our law firm. And you can feel that there is magic, in the firm. So that's what really motivates me, to feel that aim to be innovative, to try to do something differently. So that's what really makes us happy.
Excellent, fantastic. Well, thank you very much. Excellent interview, Juan. And before we wrap up, would you like to just tell everybody how to contact you, where to find your firm, and learn more about your services?
Of course. So again, our firm is Serrano Martínez CMA. We're a Colombian-based law firm with offices in Bogotá and Medellin, which are the main cities in our country. You can find ourselves in our websites. There you'll have our numbers. And happy to help anyone that wants to start a business in Colombia, or to make an acquisition, or any matter related to business law. We're here to help. And Steven, thank you again for this interview.
My pleasure. Great talking to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Steven.